students and listeners. It's my great pleasure to welcome you at WSB University, one of the most international higher education institutions in Poland. Warmly welcome to the international conference, Current Challenges and Threats to Places of Worship in Europe. This international panel discussion aims to raise awareness of the threats to places of religious worship and the challenges of ensuring their security from the perspective of different religion. This conference is a part of an international project Prosperous, protection system for large gatherings of people in religious sites under the European Union Internal Security Fund policy. My name is Adrian Siatkowski. I am professor of WSB University and project team manager for the Prosperous project. And I have the honor of hosting today's event. Thank you for accepting the invitation to come into our virtual studio and listen to our special guests and speakers. Our speakers are Dr. Rafał Bartkowski, key expert of Prosperous project by the leader of Consortium University of Łódź. Paweł Truchli, CBRN expert, project manager from ISEMI Institute, Slovakia. Mr. Ofir Revach, Chief Executive Office of the European Jewish Congress Security and Crisis Center from Belgium. Dr. Timo Hellenberg, President Hellenberg International from Finland. Mr. Łukasz Grabowski, Security System Expert from Abacus Company and a representative of Shrine of Jasna Góra. Dr. Łukasz Szymankiewicz, Assistant Professor from WSB University, expert of Prosperous Project. And from the part of debate, our special guest from the Spain, priest Dominic Kociołek. Dear guests, for the beginning of our conference, we can welcome our first speakers to our studio, Dr. Rafał Bartkowski, key expert of Prosperous Project, representing the consortium leader, University of Łódź. Dr. Bartkowski, please, the floor is yours.
Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is a privilege for me to present brief information regarding Prosperous project. And so let's start from the general overview regarding terrorism in European Union. As you can see, we can observe significant decrease of this threat, but terrorism still remain a main threat to the public places, public security, and the most dangerous threat are lone actors committing crime and terrorist attacks in public spaces. University of Łódź encompasses main challenges related to public places protection and countering terrorism through various EU projects, as you can see. Today, let's focus on Prosperous, led by University of Łódź and 16 other partners. Now you can see the affiliation of our partners. We are proud to have these kind of entities in our project. I'd like to underline our mission and vision. It is quite important to inform you that the main idea is to enhance the protection of places of worship against terrorist threats by balancing security measures and preserving the open nature of religious sites. And our vision is to have in the near future well-secured and friendly for worshippers, churches, synagogues, mosques, and other places of worship. So, very briefly about the main information, main challenges concerning conducting Prosperous project. We'd like to focus on three important issues: procedures, recommendation for equipment, and tools how to conduct some activities regarding security of places of worship. It is something very important that we have proposals for large gatherings of worshippers, but as well we've got something for churches, synagogues, mosques. Sometimes this is small facility with just 100 religious community, 100-person religious communities. But we've got, for example, vulnerability assessment tool, light version, and it can be used in every places of worship by the priests, by the clerks, by the people who is responsible for the security of this infrastructure, this facility. Now you can see something which is important nowadays, because we try to strengthen technologies, new security technologies, and how to use this technology to protect places of worship. And we've got in our materials direct recommendation and information how to implement this kind of equipment to the places of worship. Our main idea in the Prosperous project is to strengthen cooperation between stakeholders in the security environment, especially at the local level. This kind of communication protocols are dedicated to the places of worship and to law enforcement, as well as fire department, emergency medical services, and so on. And we hope that we can, that our proposal can enhance this kind of cooperation, very important in case of terrorist attack. Thanks to the WSB University, thanks to Professor Adrian Szatkowski and his team, we've got a very important and real tool how to organize environment in the related to places of worship, and how to make this environment well protected. Another thing very important when where we observe a situation in our environment, I mean European Union, and especially this part of Europe, we have to bear in mind not only typical threats, but we try to encompass other ones like CBRN. You can find in our materials information about this kind of threats, this kind of factors, and how to preserve our places of worship against this kind of threats. And now I'd like to sum up my presentation. This is a guidebook how to organize security activities, how to implement security measures to the religious places, and how to secure religious communities. You can find in this guidebook information gathered from many activities in our project in one place, in one guidebook. And you can, as you can see, you can find not only a recommendation for organizing situation in places of worship, but you can find special procedures, recommendation for equipment, and tools how to, for example, assess vulnerability in this kind of places. You can find, of course, attachments, and these attachments are connected with these tools, especially vulnerability assessment tool. So thank you very much for the opportunity to present this information regarding Prosperous project. And please bear in mind that we have quite complicated security ecosystem in European Union. Especially when we are talking about public spaces, you can find not only strategies, but you can find projects sponsored, financed by European Commission. And from this project, you can get some important information, guidebooks, guidelines, tools, and so on. And Prosperous is dedicated for you, for the religious community in the European Union. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Bartkowski, for presenting the research consortium and the Prosperous Project objectives. Our next speaker is Paweł Truchli, representing ISEM Institute from Slovakia. He's leader of the Work Package 7, responsible for coordinating and preparing the strategy of anti-racism campaign. Mr. Truchli, please, the floor is yours.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Paweł Truchli. I'm as spoken by the Professor Siatkowski. I'm here today to present you a little bit more about the security awareness raising campaign and about our goals, objectives, and what has been done and what is still in front of us. So let's proceed. Okay, so thank you very much. So let's start with the first slide. I mean, with the introduction of our institute. So I come from the ISEM Institute, that is a non-profit organization providing the publicly beneficial services. We are the platform of the former and the active police officers, the military, the civil protection, the all experts that are dealing with the crisis management. So more in about us you can find on our webpage. And what I can say a little bit more about us is that our institute is registered under the Ministry of Interior and has also quite well-established cooperation with the NATO EOD-COE and the Ministry of Defense. Well, the strategy of awareness-raising campaign, there is a lost day without the strategy and without the doctrine, as I can say as the former doctrine specialist. So at the beginning of the project, we established the baseline for how to deal with the whole strategy. So therefore, we created the methodology and the security awareness campaign. We defined objectives, defined the target groups, the tools, and all the needed facts that will guide us through the whole campaign. The objectives we settled up into the four main pillars. So as you can see, to striving the strengthen of the places of worship. So we wanted to build up and to rise up really very profound things. So the first one, to rise up the knowledge of the awareness raising, rise up the knowledge about the threats, and then, of course, the knowledge to the of the people and the places of worship. The third was the wide promotion of our outputs, and last and not least, the enhancing the dialogue between the religious sites and the LEA, so to local and the governmental authorities and communities. The target groups are quite nicely divided into the three parts. So the religious sites, personnel and leaders, the officers of public services and local authorities, and the congregations, worshippers, and the society in general. So for us, it was really very obvious, and the one fact, need to know the paradigm. So which means exactly to give the knowledge and the spread the knowledge that was needed to the particular group. As I mentioned, we established the campaign message, and the campaign message was the basic for our campaign motto, which is better to know, it's good to listen, it's quite the stamp mark for us that is spread among the channels that we defined. Where you can find us? You can find us definitely on our webpage and on the Facebook, and follow us on the Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and the video and the products are also shared via the YouTube. Basically, as you can see on the left part, so we have the religious sites as the primary, personal, and the leaders as the primary part that we want to share the knowledge, but also for the officers of the public services and for the worshippers. So we wanted to divide also the channels, what to find the best way how to share our products. Through the established ways, we also divided, and we wanted to create the navigation for the tools, which will be given in the best way to the free groups. So from the grant agreement, we had also some objectives, what to do. So, for example, how to report the potential and relevant information of concern in the case of terroristic attack. And so in those bases, those objectives, we wanted to actually to put inside our deliverables and inside our tools. So therefore, just to follow the strategy that we built up, need to know, we followed, and we did some analyze what to do. So as it was a little bit mentioned by Dr. Batkowski, we created the leaflets, and the leaflets is the first part of the tools that we produced. So the first we created the leaflet, and it is at disposal on our webpage. So the run, I'll tell what to do and how to do in the case of terroristic attack. So the second leaflet, which is disposal, is the how to react into the incident involving CBR and threats. So this is the also connected with the strategy that is well publicly known, remove, remove, remove. And the last one, leaflet, it's for the religious sites personnel and for the managers of the religious sites, which is, as also mentioned, the what light guidance. The brochures that we created for evidence-raising campaign also have the magic number of the free. So we created the brochure for the managers of the religious sites, then the brochure for the staff of religious sites, and then for the worshippers and the visitors of large religious gatherings. So what is all inside? I will talk a little bit later on in next stages, but the important message is that those brochures and those leaflets are accessible on our webpage. Currently now you can find in the English version, but as you can see, there will be this project covers to spread the knowledge in different languages, and within the plan it will be done in the very soon. You can find it on the internet. So the first is the brochure, for the managers of religious sites. So we developed the 6 things that can help to protect the places of worship. So I just wanted to underline the 3 of them that are different from those for the members of the religious sites, for the staff of religious sites, and for the visitors of the religious sites and gatherings. So for the manager, it's important to know how to promote understanding of safety and security inside the community, how to organize and how to conduct actually the vulnerability assessment, and how to recognize the signs of extremism. But as I mentioned, that's just a sample, like a hint what is inside. So next brochure is for the staff or religious sites. That's a little bit more for the hands-on training and what the staff shall do. There are the 10 advices, and we introduced how to understand the indicators of preparation for an attack using hazardous materials, how to check the venue for the suspicious item, and how to report any potential and relevant information of concern. The last one has the 7 hints for the visitors of the religious sites. And this is exactly following the pattern. Need to know how to identify indicators of terrorism, how to react in an attack, and how to react in an incident involving hazardous materials. So we also wish and we will develop 3 videos that follow the logic and follow the structure that we developed. So we will develop the videos how to react in an attack, how to react to an incident involving hazardous materials, and how to make the vulnerability assessment. Those videos will also help not only spread the knowledge via the internet, but also will be a part of the training initiative inside the project. So let's see to have a sample of the video, and please take a look and enjoy watching.
Prosperous protection system for large gatherings of people in religious sites. In this video will be introduced procedure Run, Hide, Tell. Do you know how to behave during a terrorist attack in religious sites? He doesn't know either. So let's go through this process together. Let's start with the fact that we never know when this will happen. However, we must have a plan of action that can save our lives and others. Is there a safe route you can get away without exposing yourself to greater danger? If so, run. If possible, help other people escape, but don't let their indecision slow you down. Leave belongings behind. They're not worth it at the moment. Don't try to film the event. Just run and alert people around you and prevent them from entering the danger zone. But what if it's too dangerous? If you can't run, hide. Find cover from gunfire, and remember, if you can see the attacker, he can see you. If you're behind closed doors, you still have to hide behind reinforced structures or furniture. Be aware of exits. You can't fall into the trap. Remember to stay away from doors and windows. Turn off the light and mute the devices. Be quiet. Mute your phone and turn off vibration. Barricade yourself and move away from the door. If you feel safe, call 112. If you are unable to speak or make noise, listen to the instructions given by the caller. What do the police need to know? What's happening? Where exactly? Where are the suspects? Description of suspects. Information about casualties and information about the building and surroundings. Remain calm. Avoid sudden movements that may be considered a threat. Keep your hands open and in view. Officers will evacuate you when it is safe to do so. Remember procedure. Run, hide, tell as the reaction in the event of a terroristic attack.
Okay. Let me thank the University of Łódź that were the leaders for the preparation of the videos, and also the company Filmex24, so who were so kind to prepare those kind of videos. And please take it this one as the sample, because there will be a little bit more videos at the disposal in our webpage. So therefore, we are coming to the point that when I would like to introduce the future activities. Basically, the future activities are coming from the past activities, and also thanks to the AVSB that we had organized the first conference at the early beginning of the year 2022, I think, and the 23, excuse me, and then we continue with the panels for the high schools. So those two events created the basis for us for the, let's say, the update of our strategy, how to develop the security awareness raising campaign. And as you can see, we are following our plan inside the project. So when the guidebook was developed, there we started to write the leaflets and the brochures, and to make the update of the, let's say, scenarios for the videos. So what is in the front of us? As you can see, in the front of us is the verification period of the project, when we will do the training for the religious sites personnel and the management. And we will do also the exercise when we will verify our procedures which were introduced now. The whole project will be concluded about the November of this year. So, and that time will be also for us another pleasure to organize and host the final conference as the conclusion of the whole project and the awareness raising campaign. So these sentences concludes my introduction about the activities within the awareness raising campaign, and well, now it is the time to give the word back to Dr. Siatkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Paweł Truchli, for presenting the aims and goals, our anti-racism strategy. I feel there's a very, very important brochures, leaflets, and video increasing the awareness of the anti-racism behavior and stop this negative behavior also, I think. With us is our next speaker, Ofir Revach. He is the Chief Executive Office of the European Jewish Congress Security and Crisis Center. With his main headquarters in Brussels, the SAC is active in hundreds of communities all over Europe to enhance security and civil resilience, counter-terrorism and violent extremism, and develop community-based security cooperation with law enforcement, intelligence, and governments. Mr. Revach will present the problem of security synagogues in Europe. The experience of the Jewish community is very interesting for us, really. I have pleasure to be a team leader of visiting site synagogues and another religious site of Jewish community in Hungary and in Czech Republic, and that was amazing experience for me. Observe how to protect the religious sites. Of course, this experience can be implemented for the protection other religious sites. So, Mr. Revach, thank you, and please, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Adrian, for inviting me to this very important conference. I would like to start that today I think all of us, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, everyone, are facing nearly the same threats. And we saw it since 2015 with the huge attacks in France, in Paris, with the Bataclan, and after in Nice, Berlin, London, etc. The enemy that we saw is not asking the people if they are Jewish, Muslim, or Christian. Is coming and is attacking everyone. And this is a big change in the last years. Of course, I will speak today about our communities, the Jewish communities. And I would like to say that we start to protect our buildings and our community nearly 70 years ago. After, to be more specific, in 1948, after the independence of the State of Israel, we saw a lot of attack against our community, especially in a Muslim country like Morocco, Tunisia, etc. And then the communities in North Africa, but also in Europe, start to protect themselves. So we got a lot of experience, and also we face a lot of big attacks against our community, but we study from that. And we are improving our security, I can say, every day. I can say that our enemy is nearly the same enemy. It's no change. It's mainly Iran and its proxy, the radical Islam, the far right, and the far left. This didn't change in the last years. But what changed? First of all, we could see in the last years that all of the attackers, nearly all of them, they were civilian. It's not like before that people to attacks in Europe, they came from abroad, from other continent or from other places. Today, all of them nearly are civilian. It's make the life of the security and the law enforcement very, very difficult, as we are living in a democratic country in Europe. And it's very difficult to start to follow and to check every civilian. And also the civilian, they can move in the country, nobody can stop them, nobody can check them. They are like everybody. Also, we could see in the last year, and it's a big change, that those people are attacking soft target. It's not like before that they used to attack attractive places, big communities. Today, they are attacking a soft target. It means place of worships and public places, like we saw in the last year. And this is really a challenge because they don't care today if they kill one person or two person or 1,000 person. For them, it's nearly the same. Therefore, we saw a lot of attacks in a little city, not attractive city, against a very little communities, not attractive communities. And this make our life as a security very, very difficult because we cannot concentrate and focus only on the capital city or bigger communities. We must think from the big synagogue until the little synagogue to protect all of them. And it's a huge challenge for the communities, but also for the law enforcement. The second phenomena that we could see in the last year, and this is the lone wolf. It's a huge phenomena. It's a new phenomena that the law enforcement, they don't know yet how to deal and how to prevent attack from the lone wolf. It's much easier for the law enforcement to prevent attack from a big organization, but for against lone wolf, it's still very difficult to prevent someone wake up in the morning, he's taking his car, he's taking a knife, and he decided with himself, without speaking with anyone, that is going to attack people in not protected places like we saw in Nice or in another places. Another thing that we could see in the last year, it's a social media. That it's for us, and it's a huge challenge because today everything is the social medias. When we speak about a lone wolf, the lone wolf is not nearly is alone, but behind him there's a huge organization or the huge influencer, and they can use the social media for a brainwashing, for recruiting people, for teaching, for training, for doing everything only through the social media without any meeting, without any training, any physical meeting. And this is a big challenge for us and for the law enforcement. It's very, and we saw it, we start to see it with ISIS. He start to use the social media to recruit people, to train them, to give them an order, to teach them how to build explosive. And today we see it more and more with nearly all the organization, also with the far right and the radical Islam. So for us, the challenge of the Jewish community is not only the synagogue. It's also the school, it's also the JCC, it's also the event in and outside the synagogue. Before, I can tell you that before a few decades, we protected nearly only the synagogue, but we saw it's not enough. We saw the attack against our school in Toulouse in 2012, another attack in school. So we are protecting nearly everything who belong to our communities, from buildings to event to community leaders, etc. The security today, it's not enough. Like I mentioned before, we saw a lot of attacks against soft target in the public places. It means it's not only to attack the synagogue, the enemy also can attack the people when they are coming or when they are leaving the synagogue. It can be 100 meters from the synagogue, 200 meters from the synagogue, in the closer parking, etc. So our challenge is not to protect only the synagogue, also to protect the people who are coming and when they are leaving the synagogue. Today, it's not enough to train and to prepare only the protector, to have a good physical and technical mean, to have a good procedure. It's not enough today. Because today we must have all the community members, they must be part of our system, of our security. Because like I mentioned before, the attack can be everywhere, against everyone. So we must increase the security awareness of our people, of everyone, mother who are coming to school with children, and if she sees something suspicious 400, 200 meters from the synagogue or from the school, it's very important that you will understand it's suspicious and to come and to update the security officer or the police and to react. So we are working a lot to increase the security awareness by like video that we saw in my previous speaker. It's a very good example. So we prepare also 10 videos with many languages that we can find them. You can find them in our website of SAC by GC, and we are teaching. We are training from the school until everyone to increase the security awareness and to understand what is suspicious person, what is suspicious object, what to do in case of emergency, how to behave, how to react, is something that it can save life. And a good example we could see in Halle. In Halle, in our synagogue, when the terrorists came and started to shoot, the people inside the synagogue, they knew what to do, to close the door, to a left, to run away to the safety room, to the other side of the door, to call to the authority, to prepare themselves. They knew exactly what to do, and this is something we are saving a life. We must follow the threat. The threat is changing all the time. The enemy is changing, the threat is changing. So we must be relevant all the time, and not to be relevant for the last threat, to be relevant for the real threats, and I give you example. If today the main threat, like I mentioned before, it's radical Islam and the far right, it means the ability of this threat is shooting, it's a little explosive, so we need to prepare a synagogue exactly against this threat. And that's exactly what we did in Halle. It's a very good example. We changed the door to have a very good door, very solid and strong door, and to have a good system of cameras, alarm, and that's all against this threat. So we must always understand the threat, to understand what is the ability of the threat, and to prepare our synagogue according to this threat. We must understand also what is relevant for us as security, what we can do, and what we cannot do. We cannot do everything. So what we can do is the responsibility of the country. Our security guards, that we have security guards everywhere in all our synagogue, they cannot protect against a plane. They cannot protect against a nuclear bomb. This is the responsibility of the countries. So we must understand what is our responsibility, what is our ability, and to prepare our guards according to this, and not something that is not relevant and not logic to our people is something very important. It's very important to continue with the security awareness, how we can increase the connection and the relationship between the community members and the authorities. If they see something suspicious, to know to call to the law enforcement. If they see one of our friend, one of our neighbor, start a process to become radical. We see our neighbor who is buying a weapon. We see something suspicious in the school, in the university, in the job, etc. It's our responsibility to call, to understand that it's not normal, to call to the law enforcement and to tell them, look, there's something suspicious here. I would like to give you a good example for that. We saw the attack in Barcelona in the Rambla a few years ago. Two people from Morocco came, they rented the house near the city of Barcelona. They bought 120 gas balloons to the house. They didn't speak with anyone. They didn't have integration with anyone from the village. And after they made the attack in the Rambla. And after the police came and they spoke with the neighbor and to ask them if they saw something suspicious. Everybody said, of course, they were very suspicious. They came, they bought, they didn't speak with anyone. So the police asked him, but why didn't call us? We could prevent this event just by calling us. We could arrest them and to prevent the attack. So this is something that we must change the mindset of our community members and all the citizens. They see something suspicious, they must go and call to the police. In Israel, if a boy 6 years old is going to the bus station, he sees a suspicious object, he will understand immediately that it's suspicious. He's not going to come close, he's going to go far, he's going to call to the police immediately. For him, it's obvious. This is something that we must see how we can change in our continent, in Europe, because this is today the main threat, and the citizen must take more responsibility. They must be part of the security system, and that's what happened in all our communities. The social media, before we saw the anti-Semitism events in the street, we could see a demonstration, a Vastika attack, etc. Today, nearly all the anti-Semitism incidents, they move to the social media, nearly everything. So we could see dramatically increasing of the anti-Semitism in the social media. Every day there's around a new 3 million anti-Semitism incident, denial, Holocaust denial, etc. in the social media, especially in TikTok, for example, that it's something terrible. The children to the 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old, they start the first time to see anti-Semitism a movie, and this is something that it's very bad, not only for the Jewish, it's very bad for all society. So our job as a Jewish security is to see how we can work with the authority, how we can work with all the social media, with the Google, with Facebook, with Twitter, etc., to see how we can prevent those kind of things, how we can maybe proceed, maybe a process to take those people to a court or etc. I can tell you that in Israel, the Shin Bet managed to stop more than 80% only from the social media. Only from the social media, because today the attacker, before is going to most of them, before they are going to attack, they are doing something in the social media, they are saying something in social media, they are taking a picture in the social media, and we can prevent. And for that, we must work very closely, like I mentioned before, with all the social media and the law enforcement, and to take also our people to see and to teach them how to look and how to report if they see something suspicious. Today, it's not enough to work alone. We can be strong, we can have a lot of experience, we can have a lot of knowledge, but it's not enough today. We must cooperate with other faith organizations beside the law enforcement, and we have a huge project with the Muslim community, with the Kek, with the Orthodox community and the Buddhist, to see how we can improve the security not only in the Jewish community, also in all the faith organization, because if one of the other faith organization, if the Muslim community, they see someone suspicious who come to attack the Jewish community, it's very important to have this cooperation and the reverse. This is very important. Maybe the most important thing is the education. We must see how we can start the education from the early ages, in the kindergarten, in the school, how to educate the people, not only against anti-Semitism, not only against the Jewish people, against everything, against gay, against other things. I can share with you that today in Europe, if we take our continent, most of the attack number, most of the attack are not against the Jewish. Most of them are against Muslim, are against Christian, are against other faith, and maybe we are third or fourth in the list. So today we must see how we can educate the people, how we can work together, and how we can share the knowledge and the experience between all of us to improve the security of all of us. The last thing I would like to mention, that it's not enough only to prepare the people, only to secure the place. We must prepare the people, also our community member in the synagogue, in the school, for a crisis management. Something can happen in the synagogue, can be a fire, can be accident, can be terror attack. So people must also prepare beside the reaction. People also must be prepared for a crisis management, how to help the people after the attack, how to support them after the attack, and what to do after the attack is something that is crucial. It's a saving life, and it's helping to our community members. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ophir. Thank you for your presentation of the topic. Future development and discussion will follow in the panel section, but let me add something and comment. You said about the very important and very interesting issue about the lone wolf, which modus operandi has evaluated from ideological motivation to the social media motivation. This is very interesting because some people do something only for put the video and information to the social media for increase the observation people. This is interesting, and this is a very very interesting change for the motivation. And the second, yep.
I must tell you something. I can speak about the lone wolf 1 week.
Yes.
The lone wolf 1 week. But the time is very short, so I just mentioned the important point. But you are right. What you say, you're right 100%. I agree with you 100%.
I think you will have an opportunity to increase your talk in the panel discussion. So thank you for this time. And of course, the education is the basic for the awareness, I think. And the next speaker is from the Finland. So once again, Ophir, for your presentation, and we'll listen the panel discussion. Our next speaker is from Finland. Dr. Timo Hellenberg is the president of Hellenberg International and the partner of the Prosperous Consortium. He is also recognized authority on security. In his speech, Challenges and Threats to the Place of Worship in Europe, he will address the general problems of providing security for the place of worship. Mr. Hellenberg, please, the floor is yours.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great privilege to address this conference today. The timely issue of the current challenges, threats to places of worship in Europe. My name is Timo Hellenberg. I come from Finland, Helsinki, and I'm a founder of the Hellenberg International, which is the National Security Research Center focusing on government crisis management systems and how to enhance the situational awareness of the government leadership in different exceptional situations. Today, we will focus on the places of worship in Europe and also how to prepare the critical entities, critical facilities of religious sites to confront exceptional crisis situations which are more demanding today than ever before. Europe is in the crossroads when it comes to the crisis management systems. Most of the systems within the member states have been developed during the Cold War era. This means that there might be different ministries dealing with the same issues when it comes to the preparedness, response, and consequence management of the different disasters, crisis situations affecting the places of worship, religious sites in Europe. And this is the challenge we need to address today. There's also a trend within the member states, within the European Union, towards all hazards principle in crisis management. What does it mean? It means that the national system will be developed to handle any kind of incident, whether the aggressor or the source of the crisis situation is external or internal. The system is ready, it's flexible, it's integrated, interoperable, both when it comes to the administrative solutions, technical solutions, and the legal base of the country concerned. There is also a trend towards privatization of the security and safety. So many of the services which were previously covered by the police, rescue services, customs, even the border control, they are now covered by the private sector, private entities. And there's also a new trend towards the civil-military cooperation. For instance, in Finland, the Finnish Defence Forces are covering many of the activities when it comes to preparedness and increasing the resilience of the country, which were earlier covered by the civilian authorities. Also, the equipment, technology, capabilities, they have to be in a multi-use, multi-purpose basis instead of the only for the national defense purposes of the country. Interoperability, integrated situational awareness, surveillance. There are a lot of needs, a lot of possibilities coming from the new technologies, not least from the artificial intelligence. And also there is the constant need to strive towards the pre-standardization of the practices. We have so many different layers within the member states when it comes to the cycle of the preparedness, from prevention, response, consequence management, all the way when it comes to the dividends of the tasks and responsibilities within the country. So all this reflects to the places of worship and religious sites, how these entities and their staff and the leaders are able to develop their own systems to be as effective and efficient as possible to confront different exceptional situations, whether they are caused by the aggressors, extremists, radicalized fundamentalists, terrorists. There are many challenges in Europe today, and when we look at the risk map of Europe, we can easily address the fact that the amount of the risks is rapidly increasing. And we are also aware of the fact that many of these exceptional situations and crisis situations are struck directly against the religious sites and places of worship in Europe. So we need to have a new thinking. We need to have a comprehensiveness instead of to look inside what we have. We need to have more open-minded thinking to involve all the member states. We need to involve the European Union mechanism. We need to involve the member state mechanism, cross-sectoral mechanism, and most importantly, we need to listen those who are deep in the research of assessing the risks and the sources of the risks and how to prevent, how to respond, and how to mitigate in the long run. We have done extensive research on the EU mechanism by assessing both the political strategic level coordination mechanism and also the operational tactical level action, which the European Union as an entity could mobilize to support the member states in Europe. And by the end of the day, all this work, all these instances are existing to support the places of worship and religious sites. We are the nucleus, which are the nucleus of the country's continuity and the critical assets. And so the more we understand, the more we prepare the comprehensive approach, the better for the places of worship and religious sites. I would like to show this figure which describes the complexity of the different layers and elements which need to be taken into account when we are preparing the places of worship and religious sites to confront the aggressions and interruptions from outside. So it's not simple issue that we have one single perpetrator. There might be several perpetrators, there might be political motives, there might be fundamentalists, there might be symbiosis of organized crime and fundamentalists striking the places of worship and religious sites. And all this has to be assessed, and based on that assessment, we might be able to develop effective exercises and preparatory plans to increase the effectiveness and efficiency of these sites. I would like to address a few things we have learned recently from our interaction with places of worship and religious sites. Resources, our capabilities, they often run out before we understand that. We might think we are well prepared, we have had the same system, same backup plans, same resources for past decade, but wait and see when something happens. Resources always run out before predicted to run out. And these resources, they mean very simple things: the gasoline, cash, communications. These are the three most important things. Logistics, cash, communications. Situational awareness is something which needs to be created by experience. Situational picture is a different thing. If you have 10 different monitors, there's an expert following the monitors, it doesn't mean this certain person has comprehensive situational awareness, because situational awareness means you have experience to compare the data you receive. The data you are handling has to be processed as part of the comprehensive situational awareness. Crises are always different. crisis situations, in today's world, they have a political component. That is part of the new media coverage, but it's part of the social media realism where we are living. So whenever there is a crisis situation, the leadership, whatever the leadership is governmental, whether it's a regional, municipal, or the leadership of the religious side, they have to take into account that there's an immediate media coverage. And when there's the media, there's the politics. And this is something to bear in mind. I would also like to pinpoint the fact that many of the European national crisis management systems today, they have been created after the Cold War or during the Cold War era. So it means that all too often there's external system and internal. There's a Ministry of Foreign Affairs, there's Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Defense, and so forth, Ministry of Environment. But today's risks, they are intertwining, they are cross-sectoral. They have both components, external, internal. And that means that also the system has to be adapting to that fact. There are countries like Netherlands, Denmark, which have completely revised their system by acknowledging the fact that the risks today, they are different than they used to be 50 years ago. So the system needs to be ready and it needs to be adjusted to this fact. And that also goes hand in hand with the places of worship and religious sites, which are the centric part of the country's cultural heritage and the centric part of our spiritual heritage. So from that perspective, we need to acknowledge the fact that there might be shocks created both from external and internal forces. The best exercises are the exercises where the system is challenged until the limit. And whenever there's evaluation of the exercise, evaluation of the system, it should be conducted by the external experts. This is very important to bear in mind. Cross-sectorality, multidisciplinarity, interoperability. These are the three things I would like you to carry out from my presentation. When we look the preparedness as a whole, particularly focusing on the places of worship, I would like to address particularly two particular things: mitigation and preparedness. These two things go hand in hand. More prepared we are, the easier to mitigate the effects of the crisis situation. And all this should be done in good coherent cooperation with the local emergency response authorities. There are differences within the member states. In countries like Finland, the religious leaders, religious churches, parishes, they are obligated to develop the risk management and risk preparedness together with the local emergency management authorities. But in some countries, the religious sites are quite independent, so they can develop their own systems and they can make a far-reaching decision-making on their own, despite of the national legal base and also the mechanisms provided by the public services. And there are also differences. In some countries, the private sector plays a bigger part in preparatory response planning than in some countries the public sector plays the bigger part in that work. So there are differences in that respect. There's a new directive, EU directive coming up. Actually, it has already been launched. Resilience of the Critical Entities SER directive. And this new directive is replacing the old directive, which was the CIB directive, Critical Infrastructure Protection Directive from 2008. What does it mean for us? It means we need to acknowledge that the operators of the critical entities, including the places of worship, they have more responsibility. They need to develop their resilience, and there has to be understanding what does it mean for the operational continuity of these places and sites in the future. So new directive, new possibilities, but also new responsibilities. Finally, I would like to acknowledge some very key findings from Finland, what we have discovered during the past 2 years when we have been working with the religious sites and religious leaders in the country. The protection of the religious sites and entities should be included in the list of the national critical infrastructure and vital functions of society. This means that the country mobilize all means necessary to help the religious leaders and the directors of the religious sites to prepare their own capabilities and resilience. This is very important. Secondly, the war in Ukraine has shown us that the attacks on religious sites are tactical actions. They are intentional tactical actions with the strategic goal of destroying the spiritual resilience of the society. So we need to have, when it comes to the national defense planning, there has to be a certain importance for the places of worship. The ideas, thoughts, the infrastructure planning of the places of worship, religious sites, has to be taken into account when we are doing the national defense planning and the preparatory strategic planning. As I already mentioned, in some countries, the parishes and churches are self-sufficient, so they might do their own planning, but in some countries, there's more obligation based on the legal system to take into account the local guidelines, local infrastructure obligations, and the legal framework, which is obligating the planning of these sites against the external shocks. So there are differences, and this needs to be taken into account when we are developing the standardization and pre-standardization of the documents and proceedings of these sites. State-led action is needed over here as well, because the places of worship, they are on their own, they cannot conduct state-level planning. And finally, what is interesting is that all too often these religious sites, like in the picture here, we have a medieval church from Finland, they can also act as civil defense shelters for the population in the times of emergencies and exceptional situations. So this is something to bear in mind, that by preserving the religious sites and places of worship, the religious leaders and the churches, parishes, they are actually carrying out wider societal responsibilities, not only to secure the business continuity of their spiritual sides, but also they are taking part to the national planning of the emergency response. And this is important when it comes to the resourcing of this work, and it has to be taken properly into account at the state level planning. So these were the things I would like to underline in today's conference. And interoperability, situational awareness, and comprehensive planning, in particularly underlining the importance of exercise. These are the things I would like to take up in today's conference, and I look forward to wider discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Timo, for your interesting presentation. As you said, Timo, the crises are different, but preparedness have to begin from awareness, because, as I showed, our motto, better to know about threats, about results of these threats, and of course about the reaction. Thank you once again, and we listen on the panel discussion for the increase our topic. Now we'll have our next speakers from the Jasna Góra and Abacus company. The Jasna Góra Sanctuary for Polish people is a very specific and very important place. is the largest pilgrims site in Poland with its specificity and mass character. And I'm very pleased to welcome Mr. Łukasz Grabowski, expert of Abacus company and person responsible for technical security of the Jasna Góra Shrine. He will present the problem of the contemporary challenges of ensuring security on the example of the Jasna Góra Shrine. Mr. Grabowski, please, the floor is yours.
Hello everyone, my name is Łukasz Grabowski. I'm representing the Shrine of Our Lady of Częstochowa and also the Abacus company. I'm responsible for the security and IT management here at the monastery. And I will try to show you the threats and try to show you how we can manage things at the Jasna Góra. But probably not all of you actually are from Poland or know where the Poland is, and I want to show you where the shrine actually is. That's the Poland, that's what you can see here. We have the Baltic Sea on the top, then the borders, and the Jasna Góra, it's exactly, actually the Częstochowa, it's just what you can see here on the southern part of Poland, and that's our shrine. Why I'm showing you that? Because I like to tell you something about our kind of the traditions, which are the pilgrimage and some of the statistics. The pictures, what you can see here, actually the numbers are from the last year, just from the 4 months, from June till September. You have to remember that was actually the pandemic time. So that's what you can see, it's only 84,000 people, but there are the people which actually they walked to the monastery, because we have the tradition that major made the trick walking on foot. However, others came running, roller skating, on bicycles, by motorcycle, or even on a horseback. That's what you can see here also, because I want to share with you, like one of the biggest distance they have to cover is like a pilgrimage from Kashuby, which is the group from Hell, which is the north part of Poland, the peninsula. They have to walk 638 kilometers in almost 19 days. The other one is like, for example, the Diocese of Szczecin, Kaminsk. There's a group from Pustkowo. A little bit less, but still a lot, 636 kilometers. And that was the longest one. It was like 20 days. Second one was Świnoujście, 625 kilometers, 19 days. And the fifth one, the group of Diocese of Ełk from Suwałki, 500, 600 kilometers. It took 17 days. Why I'm showing that? Because I would like to tell you about what we have to take care of, about protection of that place, protecting the people, protecting the pilgrims, protecting the tourists, because that's also the historical place. That's what you can see here. That's the monastery. You can see that it actually looks like a castle. Or we have the walls here and like 4 corners. We have the very high walls. So you can say it's very well protected. But not really. I mean, maybe it's hard to enter, but then when you have someone inside, then of course we can have a problem. We have the museums inside, we have the churches inside, basilicas, and that what you can see on your left side, that's actually a big field. Big field when you have some kind of masses or different religious places are going there. And why I'm telling you that? Because Jasna Góra, it's not only the place for like being during the ceremony, religious ceremony, but also we have something on that big field, the mass events. We can have them 40,000 people or even more. So it's very important how to protect that. And in that case, security by design, it's the very good thing of way of thinking. Because here we can talk about exterior design, landscape architecture, urban planning, or physical barriers and territorial enhancement. And look here on that field, that big field. As I said, it's kind of huge, but it's important, all that design, like the urban planning. Look, we have the park on the right side. We have the streets, which are on the top and the bottom, but it's not very easy to enter into it. Why? Because look, that's on that picture. It can be crowded. a lot of people. Probably on that picture is like 50,000 or even more of the pilgrims or tourists. That's what you can see here. It's like southern entrance, and that's the way how also you can kind of protect that security by design. Like you have the difference from the level, you have that concrete bricks, you have that stairs, so it's not easy to enter, especially by some kind of vehicle, or even when you have the mass movement of the people, they also will go in the pattern. Another way, that's the other side, which is the northern part of that field. Again, as you can see here, difference from the elevation, so not easy to enter as well. And on that one, you can see like the field on a like entrance to the field, which is the main entrance. You cannot see on that picture, but actually we do have a stairs there. So it's not easy to get in. The stairs are on the left and the right side, but in the middle, that's the only flat level platform. But again, how to protect? You can see, you can put like the statue. There's a statue of Mother Mary in the middle. That's how you can protect to God inside. Other way, how we could protect things, look, on the left side, maybe you cannot see very well, and the right side, they are the stations of the cross, but they are made like in a big concrete or big kind of stones, and they are exactly around that place. So again, it's almost very hard to enter it. They're exactly around that field when the trees are, what you can see here on that screen, on that picture. Okay, to the Jasna Góra we have the two entrances, the southern one and the northern one. So, as I said before, we can say about mass events outside, but also we have something inside. Again, look, that's the southern entrance, the main entrance. 3 steps, a lot or not, but still, it's very hard to enter by car. And on the level platform, which you actually cannot see, but it's the very, very end, that's just a small level platform for the handicapped people. West entrance, that's actually the only entrance when you can go by car. But still, I mean, well protected right now. And actually why? I would like to thank the Prosperous and actually to invite here in that project. Because after that project, what I could do, I kind of managed mine prior, or the people which actually governing that place, our monastery, to build automatic bollards. Soon, actually, we will have them here, not exactly in a place, but I cannot show you where they will be, but probably we'll have like 2 or even 3 the levels of them. And maybe even the other thing, how you can protect places to enter by the car or the vehicles, it's something even more. It's the road blocker. That can be hidden into the ground and just pop out when something will happen. That will be like the second line. So if car will cross the first border, then it will stop probably on the second one. That's the example, the different one, just what you can use. Okay, so as I told you, it was kind of security by design, by architecture, but also the other way how we can protect is the CCTV cameras surveillance system. You can see here one of the cameras which actually are PTZ cameras, which they can move, you can zoom, they can see everything during the night because they have the infrared LEDs. Some of the static cameras, as you can see here. I can't show you the picture from exact the cameras because I can't, but that's what I can show you here. It's exactly our system, but in a different place. Why I'm showing you that? Because we have very nice and good statistics. So actually we can say and we can tell how many people came in, how many cars get in, and that also will help you because you will know how many will enter and when will enter, when will leave the monastery, so you can protect easier. Other thing, the license plates. Again, it can help because if someone came in, for example, with the delivery, we can just put it into the system, so the system will know that that car is secure. Or if something will happen, or if you want to find anyone, we actually can put the license plates into the system and find out very easily when car came in, when moved out. So that really helps us. As I told you before, that's the statistic. Actually, that's the example, but that can be how many people get in, cars, etc. Okay, again, as I said, that's the kind of protecting outside of our monastery. But then we'll go inside of it, because that's not only the church, that's also the museums. Okay, and what you can see here, it's that's the other thing which can very, very help us. That's not are the pictures from the monastery, because as I told you before, I cannot show you. But around the monastery is something like the vertical lines or virtual lines. Why we do have them? Because imagine that right now, that's the thing what costs at the most is the labor, is the human work. So having some kind of automation, some kind of intelligence security, we can just, the operator who's taking care of security at that place doesn't have to watch all the screens, all the cameras. The camera will pop out and the system will pop out the thing which will happen, like somebody trying to cross the fence, or it will leave something like the bag, which can be a bomb, for example. That's what I can show you, actually only the cameras which they are like in an open public view, so everyone can see it, but as you can see, there is a lot of them. We have more than 300 cameras on that monastery. You said that it was inside, and here we are going into it. Because as I said before, that's not only place outside, we have the auditoriums like here, or the chapels, different kind of museums, treasury. Now you can see here like one of the museum. So that other stuff, that's the other place how to protect. I will not tell you exactly how, but there's a lot of things how we can do that. That's our main church, which is a basilica, where we have the masses, we have some kind of prayers. Inside, we can have almost 2,000 people in that church. So that's also important how to manage protection. And main chapel, the main chapel of Black Madonna, Our Lady of Częstochowa. That was like the inside, the first part of the chapel, and that's the second part of the chapel. And you can also see here something like security by design, bars and barriers. So we can, the chapel inside or the painting can be also protected. Look here on that screen or on that painting or that picture here. That's the place before like the chapel. But what I wanted to show you is the numbers of the cameras which are actually inside. Look here. 1, 2, 3, 4 cameras. You can see why we have such a lots of cameras here. When you design a security system, when you design some place which we want to protect, it's very, very important. So you don't have something called dead zones or the blind spots of cameras, which mean that you have to see almost everything. Because usually if something will happen, it will happen when the camera doesn't see that. Why we choose that place to be so protected? Look, here are the people which are actually writing the intentions. Right now it's not crowded, but look how easily when it will be crowded, it's to just do some bad thing with that what the ladies have it here. One of the screen which actually I want, almost the only screen when I'm allowed to show you, it's how one of the systems looks like. Like the operator can very easily see what's going on around Jasna Góra, can very easily choose the camera. But I cannot show you that, even can see all the doors or the windows which are open or not. And if somebody will just get in when it's closed, you can manage very quickly or send the people just to do anything. Also, we have that statistics. When you can see here, it sets the ruch, which is the movement, which means camera shows the operator that some kind of movement is somewhere, or maybe the car get in, or somebody left the bag, which can be a bomb, as I said before. The other thing which I really would like you to know is the cybersecurity, because on that panel we said a lot about landscape, security by design, but that's what we need to think. It's also the cyber attack. All of us, or all of the projects, or all of the places right now, they have the web pages, have the servers, and that can be very, very, very easy to hack. And the place and the thing what I wanted to show you here, it's actually something what happened before at the monastery. We had the cyber attack, hacking a web server in order to host a phishing app. I will explain a little bit, but in technical languages, but I hope someone will understand how it was done. The anonymous attacker had been analyzing the payment websites for making a support donations for Jasna Góra, which users used like TPay online payment platform. So we have something like to make a donation here at the monastery. Somehow the attackers discovered our hidden automated web API. API is something like something which connects different kind of servers or platforms or devices so they can talk with each other. And why he did it? For receiving automatic notification from TPay. When someone successfully finishing making the payment, then an TPay server notify our web API so that our web page can send record to transaction status and send very nice thank you email to from Jasna Góra to the owner of the domain. And that's how actually they get in. And what they did, the attacker was then trying from an anonymous IP to find a weakness in our web app. Unfortunately, the attackers managed to find the security hole and exploit in order to put his own phishing web app on our server. It's named actually not exactly the place where the web page was, but was just /gcache. And also what I want you to take care of, sometimes when you're entering the web page, when you see nice green sign and it's called SSL or HTTPS, you think that you are protected. Not really, and that's exact example. Our server was protected. We had SSL, but that was even easier for the guy because then he was very happy because already his app was on the server, everything was protected. People looked at it as SSL. And what happened? The phishing app was hidden in a subfolder, so the main site was functioning normally. However, the under Gcache subfolder URL was the phishing app in a domain that just cached. And now the attackers could send the link to all the victims and just get them. That's what you can see here. That's what he did. That's how it looks like, the phishing app. And that's the original one. Look, that's almost no difference. If somebody doesn't know, I will go back. That's the phishing one. And that's the original, the legal one. And what they did, actually, it's very easy to get your data then, because you have to put here the phone numbers. Of course, we managed that, so we secured that. What we did or how we did, I can't tell you that. Basically, because if I will tell you that, then it will be easier for someone else to do it again. But what I want you to know, it's kind of 10 ways to avoid phishing scams. One of them is keep informed about phishing techniques almost all the time. Or think before you click everything, especially on web pages. Install anti-phishing toolbar. Verify a site's security. As I said before, you still have to watch out because still can be SSL, but it will be not the one which you wanted to click. Check your online accounts regularly, especially like change your web page, change your passwords. Keep your browser, your apps, your systems up to date. All the holes which usually are in a system, they can be fixed, but if you will have your systems up to date, it will not work. Use the firewalls. Be aware of any pop-ups on a screen. Never give out personal information to anyone or to any kind of application. That was kind of for the users, but I would like to also tell you how to prevent phishing attacks for the people which manage servers, manage the sites, like the religious sites or different company sites. So keep your servers, all the web pages, as I said, up to date. Develop and enforce a written cybersecurity policy, especially for your employees, for your users. Invest in yours and your employees' education. Education is the one of the most things, because if you do not know, if you do not recognize the threats, it's very easy for someone to get in. And you can say exactly in a design matter, like architecture, to get into the building, as I said here, the cybersecurity and just going into your web pages. Invest in tools to help shoulder cybersecurity burdens. Focus on email security. That's the very big topic which we could talk about. Understand the value of post-breach response and use the multi-factor authentication. The last one is actually the communicate the latest attack. So actually you will know what's going on in a world, what's going on in servers. Okay, thank you very much for attention.
Thank you, Łukasz, for your speech. Very interesting speech and raising an important issue also, which is cybersecurity. This is an important issue in our reality world, and also must remember that shrines are not free for these threats either. And thank you for one more things about mentioned the security by design concept. I would like to inform our audience and you, everybody, the WSB university team was prepared the guidebook for security by design concept, and the Jasna Góra shrine and provided their case study was very, very inspiration for us, shown in the guidebook. Security by design is our guidebook and also deliverable of our Prosperous project. Please take a look a concept of security by design in the short video before next our speech.
Prosperous protection system for large gatherings of people in religious sites. Security by design is the leading concept of the European Commission's action plan to promote the protection of public spaces. It presents the approach that the best results are obtained when security is taken into account from the very beginning of the planning and design of public spaces. Places of worship pose numerous challenges to the organization of the protection system. This is because the protection system, as a holistic system of different elements of protection, for example, technical protection, landscape, procedures, or norms, is interrelated with each other and with the protected site. The challenges arise from at least two conflicting factors: ensuring an adequate level of protection while keeping places of worship open, accessible, and welcoming to the worshippers. The concept of security by design is applied and enhanced within the Prosperous project in the work package, preparing the tailor-made security measures for religious sites. The Security by Design Guidebook is a conceptual proposal prepared by a research team within the Prosperous project. It was also developed on the basis of study visits made to religious facilities belonging to different religions, located in different locations and building types in Europe. The guidebook places particular emphasis on those solutions that can be implemented easily. The challenge faced by the authors was to develop a guide that was versatile enough to allow the implementation of individual solutions for large, medium, and small places of worship. The authors focused on the concept of landscaping places of worship through a selection of protection elements that can be implemented both at the design stage and to existing infrastructure. The guidebook also showcases good practices observed during the numerous study visits carried out in both work packages 2 and 3. Finally, an example of a comprehensive application of the security by design concept at a place of worship is presented. We invite stakeholders to take a look at the proposals in the guidebook. Visit our websites to find out more about the project.
I would like to very warmly invite you to download our Security by Design guidebook from our WSB University website. Now we have a next speech. Dr. Łukasz Szymankiewicz is an assistant professor from WSB University and also the Prosperous Project member team. And will describe an issue that also relates to Jasna Góra Shrine. As a part of the research task, the WSB University research team analyzed the security issues of walking pilgrims to Jasna Góra, not only as a soft target, but also as a mass characteristic events. So, Dr. Szymankiewicz present the conclusion of this analysis. So, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So I would like to present my topic, but there is no presentation on the screen. Oh, thank you very much. So I would like to present an investigation of religious worship requiring the movement of participants. And here we have a case study about Jasna Góra Sanctuary. But first I would like to start from research objective and research problems. Because there are three main categories of forms of religious worship. When we think about place of worship, for sure we consider religious ceremonies that take place indoor facilities, like in church, mosque, or synagogues, or chapel. So there is a single building, or we consider also a complex of buildings, like parish or sanctuary. Secondly, we have religious ceremonies outside the facility, for example, during funerals. But for us now, the most important is the tiered category, so religious ceremonies requiring the movement of participants. And here, for example, we have processions, but this is only single-day ceremony, or sometimes not even one day, just 1 hour or few hours. And here also we have pilgrims. And the research area is the transfer of organized groups of religious believers on foot and by forms of public transport, such as trains and coaches, to religious sites based on the analysis of threats, modus operandi of perpetrators, and security measures. And our purpose was identify gaps, vulnerabilities, and recommendations for the safe travel of organized groups to religious sites. According to this, we have also a research problem which was formulated in a question: what potential risk exists when organized groups move to religious sites? What are the identified security gaps, and what good practices can be recommended? And very short about a characteristic of pilgrimage as a form of religious worship. Because a pilgrimage can be defined as a journey of religious nature to a place that is considered to be sacred, and a pilgrimage involves the effort of overcoming the distance between the place of domicile and the shrine. But this is very obvious for sure, yes? So why this is a specific form of religious worship? Because it is used to perform religious rites. There is an internal liturgy, church discipline, and of course a spiritual heritage. And there are individual and unorganized pilgrimages. For example, the route of Saint Jacob to Santiago de Compostela, and organized ones. And walking and bus pilgrimages are the most popular form. And why this is important for us? Because popularity among the faithful and potential attractiveness as a target of terrorist attack. Here we have some examples of pilgrimages in Poland. Of course, the most important or the most famous pilgrimage is to Jasna Góra Shrine, but you know it more about it thanks Łukasz Grabowski. The second one is the sanctuary in Lichen, but generally or usually by buses. We have also the annual pilgrimage to the Holy Mount of Grabarka, which is considered as one of the most important places of worship for Orthodox believers in Poland. And it is also in August. And for example, we have also organized Hasids buses, pilgrimages to the burial sites of tzaddiks. So we have many forms or many groups of believers in Poland. So this is a very popular form of worship. And there are several stages that are characterized by a different risk of terrorist threat due to the pilgrim concentration and the space in which they stay. We have transportation of pilgrims near the start of the pilgrimage, accommodation and lodging, transfer from the place of accommodation to the place of departure of the pilgrimage, transfer to the place of the ceremony, staying in the direct vicinity of the final ceremony, and finally returning from the pilgrimage. Usually it is organized by buses or trains. But why is a pilgrimage an attractive target for a terrorist attack? Because it is a perfect soft target. It is a public space with high crowd concentration, easy of target recognition, high attractiveness in terms of benefits gained from the attack. Because here we have to remember that this is a very strong connection, or even not connection, or even a symbiosis between terrorism and mass media. So potentially high media coverage of the attack will occur, for sure. And according to the ideological aspects of motivation, we have also a selective targeting and non-selective targeting. And the phases that are particularly vulnerable to attack due to high concentration are the transfer phases, regardless of whether the transfer will be on foot, by bus, or by train. And in conclusion, the threat increases as the pilgrimage approaches its final destination, where, in addition to a large number of people, there are hierarchs of various religious groups. So in this phase, the pilgrimage can be an attractive target for both mass attack-oriented terrorists, so non-selective targeting, and terrorists characterized by a selective selections of direct attack targets. And here we can see potential methods of terrorist attack. For example, using an improvised explosive device, gunfire, attack with a sharp object, attack with chemical or biological weapons, attack with a vehicle, and especially there is a many variants characterize the use of improvised explosive devices. One should indicate, for example, to left in a backpack during a traffic stop, suicide attack with an explosive device, suicide attack with an explosive device preceded by gunfire, or somebody can left it in a car, or we have also suicide attack with explosive device in a vehicle, so-called VBIT, so vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. And here we have some kind of example of a walking pilgrimage to Jasna Góra from Sosnowiec diocese. And of course, it is every year in August. There are 14 groups of pilgrims. Usually each parish organizes one group led by at least one priest. It is 4-day walking, and the pilgrimage begins with an inaugural mass in Będzin city. And for reasons of safety, organization, and spirituality, the pilgrimage takes less frequented routes, often passing through outlying city districts, smaller towns, villages, and forests. And as you can see on this photo from Google Maps, it is about 70 kilometers patch. So as you can see, it is only around 14 hours unstopped walking. So it is not too far, but they need at least 4 days. In practice, 3 days, because the last day they spend in the Częstochowa city, the final ceremony, and they return to home. But we have to remember that this is a specific mode. So this is a kind of religious worship that every day starts and ends with a mass ceremony. There are also ceremonies and liturgies during the whole day. And of course, participants are not athletes. There are also older people and small kids as well. So they walk very slowly because the spiritual aspect is very important too. So another stage are stops and overnight stays. Stops are organized in 2 types of places: at parishes passed along the road and in clearings and meadows. Accommodation, on the other hand, is organized in rural area where there are 4 categories of accommodation: schools, fire stations, camping sites, and private accommodation farms. Also parishes, but this is exception of Częstochowa, of course, because it's a large city. And very important part is also closing and homecoming from the pilgrimage. The most important place is of course Jasna Góra, but in order for them to get there safely, it is necessary to direct the traffic and designate appropriate routes of entry to Jasna Góra. Because on the same day, pilgrimages arrive to Częstochowa from different regions of the country, which accumulates large groups of people and makes it difficult to move smoothly through the city. And the most important religious event takes place on the 4th day. It is the last day, which is also the most pilgrims return home, yes, for sure, mostly by train or buses. Of course, this is extraordinary situation, yes, during the whole calendar. So we have more forces and resources of law enforcement agencies, police, and other public services. And according to the risk assessment, considering 3 aspects: the currently dominant form of terrorism motivated by religious ideology, where terrorists aim to kill as many people as possible, and secondly, the problem of movement of pilgrims and the potential methods of attacks, organized groups of pilgrims can be an attractive target for attack during any phase of movement. The risk of attack increases as the group size increases, and the same is for target attractiveness. So it may be important for organizers to try to disperse pilgrims as much as possible. Of course, so far, no direct attack on pilgrims has been reported in Europe, but here we have some cases, some specific cases. First one occurred in 2012 in Burgas. It is in Bulgaria. It was on the Burgas airport, exactly on the parking. and one member of Hezbollah created and conducted a terrorist attack, and it was a specific target group because it was a symbolic fight against the state of Israel, and it was also a symbolic fight against the representative of Judaism. And here, for your activity, you can see on the photo, you can see this terrorist, and the question is, does he look like a typical terrorist? For sure not. And the second example is from Christmas market in Berlin. Of course, not every man from this market was a believer or follower of any religion, but here very important is that it's a specific date before Christmas and a specific place. So maybe there is no direct connection with a typical religion object, but indirect we have a connection with a specific culture. And we have to remember that the biggest terrorist attack in Europe occurred in 2004 in Madrid, where Al-Qaeda members carried out simultaneous terrorist attacks on 4 commuter trains. So here we can see that transport is a very attractive target for attack. And what kind of recommendations we can give you? First of all, organizers should aim to reduce the density of pilgrims during marches and disperse them as much as possible during stops and overnight stays. And here on this slide, you can see so-called low-cost recommendations. For example, we can conduct some kind of a warning training course for participants, and also provide this security awareness training for drivers involved in baggage transport. We can involve the security staff in organizing access control points to stopping places. We can check rest and accommodation areas before the pilgrims arrive and secure rest areas during the rotation of individual groups. We can organize patrols of stops and lodging places. And here we have solutions that are more difficult to apply for financial and logistical reasons, but it doesn't mean that they are impossible to set up. For example, we can we have rental of coaches for returning pilgrims, which will be properly secured against unauthorized access, and we can use a secure supply chain for pilgrim supplies. And all the solutions mentioned on the previous slide and here can reduce the risk of terrorist attack, primarily by making participants aware of the need to pay attention to security issues and anticipate potential threats already at the organizational level. And all recommendations are based on the principle of minimizing the costs of organizers, yes, because we remember that usually pilgrimage is a low-cost event, and we have to remember that we should avoid so-called besieged fortress syndrome, or arousing a sense of fear among pilgrims. So here those psychological and social aspects are very important too. And additional value of the presented solutions, although focused on the most serious threat, which is terrorism, is also the preparation of pilgrims to respond effectively during the occurrence of other threats, such as road accident or fire. And thank you very much for your attention. If you have any question, if you have any comments, please do not hesitate to contact with me. So thank you one more time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Szymankiewicz, for presentation and conclusion after analyzed. Now we have a 15 minutes break with the schedule, and now there's a time if you want to ask somebody something, you can use our chat in the Click Meeting platform. So feel free to ask on the chat, and on 12:15 we will start the second part of our meeting, our event. With the present is our all speakers and debate and answer for the questions. So thank you for your attention, and I invite you for the 15 minutes break, and we'll meet again in our studio in 12:15. Thank you.
Prosperous protection system for large gatherings of people in religious sites. Religious sites are considered to be vulnerable to terrorist attacks due to their accessibility and limited security. In recent years, religious sites of different faiths were targeted by extremists. There is a growing concern about the security of such places, but a balance should be kept between security and preservation of the open nature of religious sites. Prosperous project aims at increasing the level of protection in places of worship by forming a cooperation of scientists, security experts and practitioners, public services and faith-based institutions. The Prosperous covers prevention, protection, deterring and responding to various types of terrorist threats and incidents that may occur in religious places, including attacks with CBRN agents. The measures are composed of tailor-made templates, tools, recommendations of procedures and equipment, improvements in infrastructure according to security in design, and protocols of cooperation with public services. The implementation of the system is enhanced by modular training, including e-learning with VR and organizing large-scale exercises, as well as wide security awareness raising campaign to contribute to strengthening the safety of the faithful to worship in peace.
Hello again in our virtual studio in WSB University in our conference. Now we have a discussion panel. If you want to ask somebody something, please feel free to ask in our chat in the platform of Click Meeting. In this part, we have our special guest from Spain. And originally, he is a Polish priest, but he is working now in Algeciras, the city in Spain. Dominik Kociołek, priest, who was one of targets in 23 January when some politically or religiously motivated extremists attacked the priest, killed one person and injured 4 persons. Przetłumaczę, ponieważ nasz gość będzie używał języka polskiego. Witamy serdecznie księdza Dominika Kociołka z Algeciras w Hiszpanii, który był celem i przeżył atak terrorystyczny 23 stycznia tego roku w Algeciras, kiedy to młody ekstremista, który był motywowany albo politycznie, albo religijnie, bo tego tak naprawdę nie wiemy, zabił 1 osobę i ranił 4. We have a great opportunity to talk about this situation, and I know that the situation was very difficult and still is difficult for you to thinking about it. But Dominic, how you live with feeling that one has been the target? Jak się żyje z tym poczuciem, że było się celem ataku?
Ten akt się już dokonał i właściwie bardzo szybko, ale syndrom pozostaje. Zawsze zostaje coś w sercu z tym kościelnym, który przez podobieństwo do mnie zginął.
Musimy tłumaczyć, więc prosimy o trochę przerwy.
Hey, Father said that actually it was in the past, but still something stays in the heart, stays inside, in human.
Historia króciutka w 2 zdaniach, że to zdarzenie miało następujący przebieg w 2 zdaniach, tylko najpierw poszedł do kaplicy gdzieś 200 metrów od naszej parafii, uderzył tym mieczem salezjanina, przeżył i szybko spieszył się, żeby znaleźć kogoś, mnie, bo później jak się okazało, jak na policji zeznawał, mówi, że co zrobiłeś, zabiłem 2 księży.
Father said it was like the two points of it. The first one attack was like 200 meters from US, and the first one was the Salesian fathers who was injured, and then was the police came to that place.
I tyle ze zdarzenia, a później po takim wydarzeniu, które jest trudne do zaasymilowania od razu, ale przede wszystkim jako kapłani musieliśmy wyjść i być z ludźmi w sposób taki, powiedzmy, normalny, jeśli można tak powiedzieć, w takim czasie być tym przewodnikiem, tak jak pasterz.
It was very hard, but being a priest, we have to be with the people. We have to guide our people in our life.
Niektórzy, którzy byli świadkami, w tym momencie uzyskali pomoc psychologów, psychiatrów. Ja nie musiałem. Mój sposób to wyjść do ludzi i zachowywać się w miarę normalnie. Chociaż do dzisiejszego dnia zostaje zawsze coś w miejscu, gdzie był zabity ten kościelny, jak się przechodzi, wiadomo, jako kapłan, człowiek się modli w jego intencji, msze święte i inni kapłani podobnie, i ludzie świeccy, przyjaciele również pamiętają, ale w sposób taki oddania swojej woli Pana Boga.
Could you repeat in the beginning?
Powtórzyć początek.
W tym momencie tak, muszę powiedzieć, że syndrom zostaje, że jesteśmy angażujący się w życie codzienne i zawsze zostaje to, że miejsce, gdzie leżał zabity kościelny, przechodząc tam, bardzo dużo ludzi, i oczywiście my kapłani odprawiamy mszę świętą w jego intencji.
Okay, I remember that. So what the father said is like the syndrome still stays in. What he said before was like some of the person which were wounded, actually they had to take care of some physical treatment or psychological treatment. For him, actually was, you could say, okay, but it still stays in, as the father said.
Yeah, I remember because in our research team from WSB University, we have visited your church in Algeciras, and we have seen this place where the person was killed, and we have seen also the flowers in this place where was his body and his blood. And I think in the people, the feeling and remember about this act is still alive. 2 months later, I have been in Algeciras also in the big Catholic Eastern time, so that was many people. And could you say what changed on this time? Razem z zespołem badawczym Akademii WSB mieliśmy tą przyjemność, aby być na miejscu w Algecirach i zobaczyć i porozmawiać również z księżmi z tej parafii. Widzieliśmy również te kwiaty, które leżały, ludzie przychodzili i pamiętali ciało, które leżało w tym miejscu, a także krew zabitego. To przeżycie, sądzę, jest dla nich ciągle aktywne. Czy mógłby ksiądz powiedzieć, jak się zmieniło otoczenie Kościoła? Czy władze miejskie wyciągnęły jakieś wnioski i czy te zagrożenia dla miejsca kultu religijnego w jakikolwiek sposób zostały opanowane? What's changed after this attack in the environment of the same place and some church?
Tak, to się odbiło echem w samym Ministerstwie Spraw Wewnętrznych. Stamtąd przyszła pomoc. Osobiście minister przyjechał, żeby porozmawiać z ludźmi, z rodziną przede wszystkim. No i mamy ochronę policyjną w obiekcie i poza obiektem. W momencie celebracji też się widzi psy, które tropią, czy nie ma czegoś niebezpiecznego w otoczeniu.
Okay, what the father said that after it happened, after Easter, actually they had the help from the government. The minister came into it, so they have right now the police in, so they have the dogs, which actually take care of and they help to protect the places.
Of course, we can talk about this attack, about this this act, and after this act, there security measures which was introduced. But I'm also the practice, and this is. And every time we have some problem with the scribe of the security measures. Why? Because we must keep the balance between the possibility talk about the security systems and keep the systems already to use. So I have seen the people, the policemen with the long rifles, guns and secret service police, but of course I know we can't talk about the detail is this time. Oczywiście to zawsze jest problem, aby rozmawiać o systemach ochrony bezpieczeństwa w taki sposób, żeby zachować balans pomiędzy tym, co jest możliwe do powiedzenia w sposób publiczny, a tym, co jest już ujawnianiem elementu systemu, więc oczywiście o tym nie możemy mówić. Więc na koniec jeszcze wracając do tego ataku i do tej sytuacji, chciałbym zapytać, czy uważa ksiądz, że te środki, które zostały wdrożone po ataku, powinny być codziennością również w innych miejscach, bo wiemy, że miejsca kultu religijnego są specyficzne o tyle, że powinny być otwarte dla wiernych, ale czy jednak po tym ataku nie warto rekomendować wdrożenia tych środków w sposób prewencyjny? And at the last, my questions related for this attack, I would like to ask you about the changing on the environment in your church. Do you think that the security measures should be introduced as a prevention measures? Because we must be we have. We have to have in our mind that the places of worship should be also open to the pilgrims,
Nie jestem po to, żeby opiniować sposób, w jaki się chroni obiekty, kościoły, ale uważam, że jest po prostu dobrze zrobiona praca tych, którzy są odpowiedzialni za bezpieczeństwo. Trudno mi opiniować, nie jest to w mojej gestii.
Father is not a person who actually can do his own opinion, but he's saying that he thinks that the work which was done, what it is done, it should be done again and still. So again, he said he's not the one who give an opinion on it.
Jedną rzecz jeszcze chciałbym zaznaczyć, że ten drugi ksiądz fizycznie dotknięty, uderzony, jak tylko się pozbierał w kilka dni później z kołnierzem chroniącym szyję, siedział na fotelu i zapowiadał, żebyśmy nie weszli w taki krąg nienawiści, jakiegoś, nienawiści takiej wewnętrznej, jakiejś odrazy jeden do drugiego. Powinniśmy się traktować zawsze tak, jak żeśmy się traktowali.
Father added the second priest after that injured, when he was in a hospital and have the bandage on the neck. He said that we have to remember actually to not be angry to anyone or any else. We just have to do what we did as we are priests.
And we have also the questions from the audience, from cameraman. Hello, Cameron. Okay, so some partly answer for your question is you must remember that the guy began the attack in another place, in another church, and then he ran from the first place to second place. So the police had to react in the two places in the same time. Pytanie jest, czy jakby może nie o ocenę, ale jak szybko zareagowała policja po tym ataku? Czy ta reakcja służb była w ocenie księdza szybka, ponieważ są zupełnie dwie różne rzeczy. Percepcja uczestnika wydarzenia, a rzeczywisty czas reakcji policji.
Ten, można powiedzieć, przestępca, bo to jest też akt przestępczy, został złapany parę dziesiąt metrów od miejsca zdarzenia. Zresztą on nie uciekał, nie spieszył się, bardziej robił teatr z tego, co wykonał, niż uciekał przed policją.
Father said that actually the person who just did that was captured, caught 50 or close to the places. He didn't run away. He was just was taken care by the police.
Okay. So thank you, and we can move on in the next topic. And I would like to ask our guest from Jewish community, Ophir, could you tell us your experience with the security measures, because this is a very new area for the Catholic Church, I think. Still, we have maybe not a problem, but we have in the priest mind that the churches should be open for the pilgrims. But when I visited with my team the synagogues in Prague, in Budapest, we will see the very strong security measures. The people with the guns who checked everybody and everything before the entry to the synagogues. Do you recommend the same strong security measure as you introduce, or maybe you recommend the first prepare the some analysis, risk analysis? What do you think?
First of all, even in our communities, each country and each community is different. You cannot compare one country to another country, even in Europe. and even you cannot compare one city to another city in the same country. I think the first step is to analyze the threat, to see what is the threat. Maybe there's no threat. So first of all is to analyze the threat, to see who is the enemy, what is the ability of the enemy. This is the first thing. The second thing, to see what is the support of the law enforcement, how they are covering the city, how they are protecting the city, what is the relationship with our organization, with our community. This is the two basic things. Another thing is to see that our goal is not to have a bunker. We want people to come to the building. We want people to feel comfortable in the building. So our goal is not to build a bunker. So we can make a very good security without building a bunker, without building a wall and changing the windows and making it difficult for people to come to our building. So we must analyze, we must make something logical to each place and to feel that one, the leader of the building will feel comfortable, the community members will feel secure, and the people will come, will feel good and not that they are coming to a shelter or they are coming to a bunker. So the first thing is to analyze the threat, to sit with the law enforcement. Another thing is to see what is the basic, security is from 0 to 100. We don't need to be 0, not need to be 100. You can be somewhere in the between, and then you need to see what is the logical thing to do. With the door, I recommend to have a good door, few cameras, to have alarm for the night when people are not there, to increase dramatically the security awareness. It doesn't cost money. People can point on suspicious people when they are coming to the building, when they are leaving the building. The attack can be also outside, not only inside. And to make a basic thing and to have a procedure, a very basic procedure. I think with the minimum things we can increase dramatically the security of all the place of worship, synagogue, churches, mosques, etc.
Yes, thank you. You said very important things in your presentation. I think that synagogues are not now the main objects of attacks, and the many issues which we had in Europe was the churches and the Muslim. Unfortunately, our special guest from Vienna, Imam Senat Kusur, yesterday had some incident, so I hope he is better now. So, but he cannot to be with us. But we have also the specialist for from Jasna Góra, and we have some question from our audience. Could you increase your issue with the blocker of the street?
Yeah, I saw the question. Actually, in my presentation, it was what kind of can be, especially on the roads. I cannot show you on a presentation exactly what we did or what we will do or what is, how we secure the place, because of course that's under protection. We actually had a case study before we made that bollards, exactly about that. People, big amounts of people just walking through. And I agree we have to watch out for that one. So I just want to tell the one who asked that question that, in a few words, it's okay. But as I said, I cannot tell you more how we did that to protect.
Okay, thank you very much. And we have a connection with our key expert, Dr. Rafał Batkowski. And we have a connection, Doctor? Yes, we have, because we have questions from audience about the profit from our tools prepared in the Prosperous project. So if you can explain how works the project and deliverables after the projects.
Well, thank you very much. I hope it was clear during my presentation how Prosperous works, but I'd like to underline three pillars closely connected with our project and our work in this project. So the human factor, the procedures and technology. And I'd like to stress that human factor can be most important when we are talking about strengthening cooperation between stakeholders in local community. And sometimes we can observe cooperation with police or with municipality. But I mean that our project propose some protocols for communication and some good examples, good practices, how to strengthen this kind of cooperation. And from the other side, if we are talking about technology, there is not only CCTV, but we have to bear in mind access control system, anti-intrusion system, and other devices, other equipment, especially personal protective equipment. If we gather these pillars, these few things to one bucket, and if we develop these ideas, these proposals, during the project with so many professional experts, so many entities, we can propose in the end of the project, in the end of the day, very good, very useful guidebooks. And this is our idea, to help the religious community to preserve their premises in a way which is accepted by the law enforcement, by other entities, and I hope we will do it.
Thank you very much. And something to add, of course, the Prosperous project is funded by the European Commission, so we cannot have a profit from our tours. This is the deliverables of the project, and of course, every deliverables, like for example, security by design guidebook, is a possibility to download free from our website. So. Of course, we are continuing the project, and I think in November we'll be ready to complete our tools. For example, here there's information for you, also connected to your presentation and speech. We prepared the vulnerability assessment tool, which can be used to risk vulnerability assessment also. And the basic of the understand threats and react is awareness campaign. Also, Paweł, what do you think? Our awareness campaign is enough, or we should some increase, because you presented today some leaflets, brochure, and video. And I think this completely basic to because as you said, better know how to be prepared, how to react, and better to know about the threats.
So, thank you very much, Adrian. So what I think about this one, so there are two parts. One of part is the awareness raising campaign, which is to prepare the materials, the knowledge that should be spread among the three groups, as we mentioned. Second part is always the dissemination. Dissemination is the, if you do have something, what as a product, what to give to the people, and then another part is to receive, so disseminate and to receive it. So what I think, there is not enough dissemination, so we have to concentrate for the direct channel, so to talk to people. So for example, now what I can really see in the incident in Al Jazeera, so it is very important to talk to the staff and to the community inside. So for example, as the outcome of the process would be, to really spread the knowledge to the community and to the volunteers that would be really taking care of the security issues, for example, the welcoming team. And if they are trained, within our, let's say, deliverables, and for example, they know as the community the tactics of the hide, run, tell, and the first reaction. So the solution, actually, the advice that we are giving now. So then we can say we are somehow successful with our awareness raising campaign. So my message is our products must be and will be validated not only by the end of the project, but we can see slowly the progress, and if the products can survive and can be shared later on.
Yeah, this is very important because many people thinking about the police as only enough security measures, but in my opinion, the first responders and the awareness of the people is a key to the good react. Some from audience asked about the time. Cameron asked about the time react the police. I think the police has procedures, and the time after the attack and during the attack, it's completely different, and the feeling is completely different for the people who is member and attend in this attack and this event. Event is not a good key, but and the react of police and the procedures is completely, and the time living is completely different. So. I met the priest Dominic 1 month after the attack, and when we came to the church and asked about the priest, they guys functioned normally and didn't ask about the goal our questions. That was, to be honest, that was very strange for us because usually after the attack, the people was very suspicious, but here Dominic was open and friendly like now. That was also then after 1 month in the attack. Maybe it's a issue of approach to the another people. Maybe this is the issue of the might. I don't know. This question I leave open. But we discussed with Timo Hellenberg about some new threats in the Finland, and use the churches and religion to political fighting. So, Timo, if you want to increase this topic or comment some our discussion and presentation, the presentation, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Adrian, very much. And I would like to use 1 minute to summarize our experiences, and particularly our look forward, what will happen within the European scale, and how it will affect religious sites, places of worship in Finland. I mentioned earlier the new directive, the critical entities resilience directive, which will replace now the older one, European critical infrastructure directive from 2008. And this will bring new resources, but also new obligations, including for the operators of the places of worship. So this is important to bear in mind, and to look how it will affect planning, preparedness, and overall resilience. It's interesting to note that this new directive is a clear movement from protection towards resilience, and it also movement from infrastructure towards entity resilience. And my personal guess is that after a couple of years we will talk about critical functions instead of entities. So how to secure critical functions. But this is the EU level. I mentioned the multi-use of the places of worship, the estates, the facilities. So it was very interesting to hear our Polish colleagues introducing the fact that many of these places have been serving as fortresses actually in the old times, medieval times, and that brings us to the fact that they can also be serving as a civil defense shelters during the emergencies, exceptional situations, even war conditions. And finally, I would say that it's very important to divide the national planning on the other hand, to the strategic political level and tactical operational level. So these are the two different things, and it should be taken into account when also involving the places of worship and religious sites to the local level, municipal level, civil protection planning. So altogether, my message is that places of worship are a solid part of the society, and they should have been seen as resources in the national planning. So this is my message. Adrian, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much for the very short and in the main point conclusions. And the last topic was today about the walking pilgrims. I have some questions for the Łukasz and Ofir. The first is what do you think about the change the category of targets? Do you think the big mass, like the group of walking pilgrims, are soft or hard targets?
In my opinion, it is a typical soft target. Yes, it is motivated by terrorist motivation. In this case, we can say that it is mainly about this non-selective target. It is motivated by religious ideology, and in this case, yes. So here we have a bigger group which represent a specific religious group, yes, so this is perfect soft target because it's open and it must be open. It is problem from the security measures, but this is very important for participants and for this kind of worship, yes, because I have also some kind of my experience. So I can say that I am a bit insider because a few times I participated in this type of walking pilgrimages to Jasna Góra, and the most interesting is that it has to be open, yes, because in another way there is pointless to organize this kind of worship, yes. So it is a very big problem why it is a soft target.
Yeah, but Łukasz, I fully agree with you, but we have to remember that in Europe we had not deep past, but a few years ago, the issues which the terrorists used the cars, for example, in Berlin, in Nice. So, Ofir, you have, as a chief of crisis management center and most experienced guy with the protection of synagogues, in related to what Łukasz said, how to protect the soft target like walking pilgrims group? How we can?
Look, I would like to.
Yep.
I would like to mention a very important things that I think we talked about it before, Adrian. Also, your question. If we take the last since 2015, it was many attacks against soft target public places, and we saw that more than 80% from the attack. More than 80% stopped not by the law enforcement, by civilian, by people who were there. So I think today it's two things are important. One, it's crucial to increase the security awareness of all the citizens, by videos, by TV, by security, by social media. This is something that it's crucial for the routine and for the emergency. And another thing I think we are going to see, I think in the coming future, a big change. If before we talk about protecting one synagogue or one building, after we talk about protecting community, now we are going to speak about protecting for a safe city, to protect all the city. And I think the authority have they must change the main site of the authority and to see how to protect all the city by new technology, by smart camera, by other way of working. Because today, all of us, all the people who are sitting us, all of us, Jewish, Muslim, Christian, all of us are targets. The something must change. We cannot be focused only by protecting a building or protecting a community or by protecting the street. We must see the big picture. And like we said before, today most of the attack, nearly all of them are against soft target. We saw before the attack in Burgas in the bus. The Iranian, they choose this target because it's easy. No security, very easy, no protection. Someone is coming, putting a bomb, leaving the place, no camera, no security, no nothing near the bus. It's very, very easy. And that's what we are going to see in the coming years. In the coming years, what we are going to see more attacks nearly only by lone wolf against soft target. That's what we are going to see. And we must think differently.
You mentioned about a very serious issue because when we talked about the synagogue, for example, and how to protect synagogues, we are thinking about the very serious guy with the guns and RTG.
This time it's finished. It's finished. It's over.
Yeah, but Pavel, there's information for you because our responsibility for the awareness campaign, and we are talking about the basic, about the fundament, awareness. In every crisis situation, the civilian people are involved to solve as the first responders. So the awareness campaign is a very important. So if you yes,
if I can mention one very little thing that's very important. You know, sometimes just by closing the door of the church or just by closing the door of the mosque, we can prevent the attack, a big attack, by simple things. So because that, to increase the security awareness, it's crucial today.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Ofir, for this issue and mentioned the awareness. And you know, our protect is in fact the community protect. If we take care about myself, we increase this protection for the whole community, I think. Okay, thank you very much, because this is the time when we should end the conference. We had some comments from the audience, so thank you very much. The crucial question was asked. If you want something at the last but not least words, please, the floor is yours.
I would like to say something.
Please.
That today it's crucial to work together. All the faith organizations, countries with communities, we must work together, because we saw in the last year the enemy can go to attack the synagogue and after to attack the mosque and after to attack the church, the same enemy. So today we must work together, we must share knowledge, we must see how we can train together, working together, and everything together with the law enforcement.
Thank you very much for these words, because it's important. As you see, we can we have in our consortium the representatives of different religions. This is not only the issue of the Catholic or Jewish or Muslims. Unfortunately, you know, the accident with the imam it's not possible go here to our studio, but we have a very good contact, and we had many studies in Vienna also. So yeah, the awareness and work together is crucial, I think, to to our goals. Pavel?
Well, our key message is need to know how are the measures of the security. So we have the tools, we hopefully spread the knowledge, and well, that's the conclusion. So.
Thank you very much for today's meeting. It's our second meeting. The first was about interfaith dialogues between different religions. So as we can see, the different religion can operate in the same goal. Not to be a target. This is my message for you, and thank you to our guest today for presenting important issues, for understanding each other. Thank you the representatives of our consortium, the representatives of institution and religion, and thank you to our guest from Algeciras to share the difficult experience from the real attack. I hope that situation never be again. I hope. Thank you very much, and see you in the next our event in the Prosperous project. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Adrian.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.